Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast.
Alrighty, guys, welcome to the Patriot Angle Podcast. This is Unfiltered with Michael Gardner, guys. Joining us again in the studio is Sauce. Welcome, Sauce. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty. Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Definitely can hear you. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you? It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's great to be back, and we understand here that you just finished your podcast. Do you want to tell the listeners that?
Oh, absolutely. So I have a podcast called Remember God Loves You, and I'll meet you at the finish line ministry. It's I founded that ministry after I suffered through a massive stroke and a heart attack at the same time. So I almost died. That's the sad part. I was paralyzed for 4 months, and I was on life support, and the only thing that kept me alive was the IV fluids that the doctors gave me. But I give a testimony to God because He's the one that He healed me. Because you know what the funny part, Michael, is?
What's that?
The doctors do not know what caused the heart attack and the stroke at the same time. They don't know what the cause was. And so I believe it was a wake-up call to save this country and to be able to minister to people while saving this country from going into hell in a handbag.
Well, they say, Sauce, the higher power works in mysterious ways, and definitely your time is not wasted here on Earth. So he's probably looking at that as you still have time on this planet to deliver the message that he intends for you to deliver.
Oh, absolutely. And so I just the podcast. You're welcome to follow me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's called Remember God Loves You, and I'll meet you at the finish line. And I'm sure you can put that in your description or your LinkedIn or something like that. So, but yeah. We have bigger issues to worry about, and the bigger issues to discuss about, don't we?
Oh, we certainly do, Sauce. With the stock market, with the economy, it's terrible. I mean, it's not balanced correctly, if those are the correct terminology words for it.
Well, the problem is that it's not even balanced. It's like it's poorly run, and that's the problem. Yeah. It's like and not only that, but it's like, for instance, I don't know if I told you this, but I went home for the weekend for Easter break, and guess what I got in the mail?
What's that?
I got a stupid IRS audit, so I'm getting audited right now by the IRS.
Oh, wow.
Because apparently I made too much money. And so the problem is that, so they're worried about auditing people, but why don't they audit the people that claimed fraud on the unemployment or claimed fraud for this COVID money that's still in the thin air? Why don't they do that? Why are they going after just innocent law-abiding citizens? I mean, that's a valid question, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. Even CNN, crooked CNN is questioning the same thing to this Biden administration, and they don't have an answer to it. It's like, well, they want to blame it on Russia. They want to blame this and that. I mean, why hold on. Why don't they just understand that, they're the real blame is the Biden administration,
Bingo. You're right on the mark, and that's the whole thing. You are, and not only that, but this whole so-called inflation and stuff. This so-called inflation started right when Biden cut the oil pipeline. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, right after the Keystone Pipeline was shut off. Yup.
Yeah, and now they want to say, oh, it was because of Biden. No, it's not because of Biden. It's all because of Russia. And then, so that's the whole thing. What I've been noticing about when it comes to the economic problems
Yeah.
So they can't blame it on COVID. Okay, so if you can't blame it on COVID, then what can you blame? Oh, you got to blame a guy that's literally across the seas and their economic status. Well, his house going to be blamed, and so then they blame Russia. But the problem is, why are we giving more money? Did you know that Biden just sent over $800 million, $800 more million to Ukraine just because of Zelensky's like, oh, just give us more money. We need more funding. While the past month we gave Ukraine over $2.5 trillion.
Yeah.
What seems to be the
taxpayers' money? Yeah, your money, my money, everybody's money. Yeah.
There's a major problem with that. It's that like, oh well, why don't we help why don't we protect their borders? Why don't we fund their borders and protect their borders? And why don't we make sure that the Ukrainian refugees, why don't we make sure they're millionaires while the American people can suffer?
Yeah.
That just sickens me.
Yeah, we're suffering like, we got to go to a grocery store and you can't even afford to buy a freaking steak, for Christ's sakes,
Well, for instance, what I did was today I went to Walmart, and so I don't know if we're going to show photos quick, but I think it's valid that we show photos. So this was a local Walmart at my Walmart. Now, I thought it was empty shelves. No, it's called Bare Shelves Joe, because there was not even anything on the shelves. I mean, it looked like it was completely, and not only that, but I took pictures of three different aisles, and all those three different aisles were pretty much bare and, putting stuff that people don't like on there. And that's our economy. And you can explain why people, and and here's the whole thing I'm finding out about this, Michael.
Right.
So I ask people, I'm like, what do you think the problem is? Why do you think we're having a shortage issue? Or why do you think the gases are going up? Or why do you think all this is happening? Look, well, because of war in Ukraine, it's because of all that. I'm like, well, then how do you explain that when we were in the March of last year? Like, how do you explain that? Oh, well, it was still under COVID. Well, how do you explain that during the summer? See, it keeps on going through the cycle. It keeps on going through. And the problem is that they come up with more excuses than I've never heard of. And I don't know if you want to play one of the clips.
Yeah, well, let's hold on before we plug it in. Let's plug in some screenshots that you literally took off your phone of what's just going on, if you don't mind.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, go for it,
folks. Yeah, of Soslin literally sending me a screenshot earlier before we went on live here on the air. One screenshot here basically showing, and this is off of his phone, folks. His phone, right? That now look at it, $6,371, down by almost 2%. That's terrible.
That's my actual portfolio, and I took that right when the market was about to close. That was over. You know how much I had? I didn't want to send you that whole thing. I thought I should send you what I've been suffering every single day. That was just today. And you know how much I started off in the week? Or not in the week. You know how much I started about 2 weeks ago? I was at $8,000. And now that $6,371 is my current state right now. It's all because of Joe Biden and his policies.
Should we continue? Here's another screenshot, fellas. Another one, right? Down almost 5%. Sus, that's terrible.
Yes, I'm not bad with money. I definitely I thought it was gonna like dabble in the economy and stuff. I tell people at this point, don't invest. Invest overseas.
Yeah.
That's down by 5%. I'm like, it just blows my mind. I'm like, man, I just can't believe. I projected. I'm like, Michael, I'm guessing by end of this week or end of next week or week following week, I'm guessing I'm probably going to have less than $1,000, but a bunch of empty shares.
Probably. Yeah, definitely an America divided, Sauce,
Yeah, that's a 5% one. That's just awful.
Yeah, it's terrible. It really is. I mean, just crazy nonsense. But yeah, let's get into the story here. With Biden's inflation a little bit more if you want to talk about that, but we're going to talk a little bit more about that, Sauce. I want to get into him blaming Russia, the economy, stocks, everything. So
yep, I think that's very important to mention.
Yeah, but we're gonna mention this, and then we're gonna take a caller here from Florida. It seems producer Eric has him on hold. So let's get into this this Biden inflation, right? Biden's failed economy. Like, what's going on in your neck of the woods? We do understand that you live a little further up north, right?
Well, I live in a city. That's a problem.
Well, yeah.
I live in Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, boy.
What seems to be a problem with that? I call it Commie Town, but yeah, I live in Commie Town. So I was at my Walmart today, and I took you literally photos of, and somebody's like, those, you probably took those offline. You probably took those offline and somewhere like down south. I said, no, this is literally my photos. And the problem is, I noticed this with bacon. So I used to get half a pound of bacon about weekly, and it was about $4 and no, not $4. It was about $1.89 a pound. You know what the new price is for this week?
What's that?
$5.89.
Yeah.
$5.89 fucking dollars for a half a pound of fucking bacon.
Well, did you hear Joe Biden's reaction? Somebody asked him a comment similar to what you had just said on the show here, that they were asking about, I believe it was like a dozen eggs, right? Just 1 dozen of eggs. They were like, well, Mr. President, a dozen of eggs, an average dozen of eggs costs close to like $5, versus about $4.20 a dozen last year. And he says, well, what's the matter? You no one wants to pay 60 cents. I mean, that's not really a big, I mean, this is coming from your president, my president, everybody's president of the United States. I mean,
yeah,
they don't care, Sauce.
No, they could care less. And the whole thing is that, you find all these elitists, and I think they're like talking about, well, we got to pay extra. Like, for instance, I don't know if you heard of Shannon Sharp. I don't know if you heard about what he did. He went on Twitter and said, I'd rather pay the $8.99 a gallon for gas for my Lamborghini than pay President Trump when he was during gas, like when President Trump was president during his time, where he grudgingly had to pay that much. So that's how disconnected people really are from your hardworking class to your people that like you're hardworking that lives at paycheck after paycheck. And that, for instance, I paid $40 for 10 gallon of gas, and that's $4 a gallon.
Jeez.
Okay, that did more effect on my wallet than what Shannon Sharp, which you bitches and complains about, how bad this economy, how wonderful this economy is. Well, of course, if you're an NFL player, of course, when you're out of touch of reality, you can afford anything you want. But what about the hardworking class what about me, or what about you that live paycheck to paycheck? Let's think some common sense here. And that's how disconnected even our politicians are.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a really disconnected relationship with this administration with the American people than there was with the previous administration. So much, more of a patriotic administration with Trump than we're seeing with Biden. Total opposite.
Yeah, and that's really sad. Actually, that's really not sad, but that's really interesting. You're absolutely right. And not only that, but what I also noticed is that if you, for instance, you have when President Trump would travel by motorcade, they have this one clip where he would stop by a fire station and shake every single one of their hands.
Oh yeah.
Now we don't see that in this day and age. We see and in this day and age, which I love, by the way, we see MAGA rallies right when Joe Biden has to come through, and we see people waving and people screaming "fuck Joe Biden," which is absolutely respectable, I think, because what they're doing is that shows how Joe Biden could care less about what you think, and that shows that the moment that you look down and talk down by cops, and you used to hate cops, and now all of a sudden, like, we got to scream fund the police. That's a moment that you're like, oh man, wait, who is he really? And the moment that you're like, oh, well, we have to fund cops, I guess, we have to give money to the police stations for the first time. That's a very bad disconnect you have with the reality, and stating that, well, just because you live in a secure place, just because you have that money and protection, doesn't give you the right to treat people as if they're all bad people. For instance, raising taxes.
Hold that thought, Soslin.
Absolutely.
I I do hear that producer Eric in my earpiece is telling me that we're going to take a call now from from our caller that's been on hold now for 10 minutes. And we do apologize, folks. I didn't realize the time. So we're going to take this caller calling in from Florida. Believe it or not, he should be plugged into the show momentarily. So one second here. I think we're having some difficulties here on his end. Okay. Go ahead, Sauce. As soon as we get that clear up, we'll plug him right into the show. So what were you saying, sir?
So what I was trying to say is that no matter, it seems like, that you have that true disconnect of the politicians, and that all you can say is that, well, suck it up. And that's what I think one of the clips that we have that I sent to you, it shows that Joe Biden's like, well, we got to accept the reality that, this is a new normal.
Okay, hold that thought, Sauce. We do
sorry.
have him on the phone. I do apologize, Saucelin. We're having some glitches on his end. Here we go. How you doing, sir? Welcome to the Patriot Angle podcast. How you doing, sir? You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Rooster.
The Rooster joining us from the state of Florida. Welcome to tonight's show. Do you have any comments or viewpoints that you want to basically add into tonight's show with myself and Saucelin of what we're talking about? Basically talking about, the Biden inflation and the stock market.
I think Biden has a lot to do with Russia more than Trump ever had. That's why, Putin's destroying Ukraine right now, so to speak. I think Ukraine's doing a good job as protecting herself. But, I think, Biden and Hunter, they should have been investigated a long time ago, just like Hillary Clinton and all them. They're all guilty of bull stuff. And, I think they're trying to put down the Republicans to protect themselves because they know they're the ones doing the stuff that's illegal, not us.
Oh, sure. Sure. Sash, you got a comment on that, sir?
Oh, I'm 100% right with you. What's your name, by the way? The cool guy or the Rooster. Hey, I want to commend you for living in Florida. Man, that must be a freedom state. I'm from a state that lives, we're still under lockdown per se. No, I think what's happening is that here's why I think, a lot of viewers are going to probably be pissed off by this statement. But I think what Putin is doing, he's doing a great job exposing the true hypocrisy of our federal government and stating how when we meddle in elections, this is what happens. And this is our consequences when we meddle and put President Zelensky in office instead of having Ukraine do a fair election.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What do you think about that, Mark?
Yeah, what do you think about that? Are you still on the phone?
Yeah, I can barely hear you guys now.
Oh, okay. Basically, Sas is basically saying here that go ahead, Sas, you can repeat that again.
No, absolutely. So, okay, can you hear me at all, or?
Yeah, he could hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So what I was saying is that, it's interesting how I have to say President Putin is doing a fantastic job of exposing the true hypocrisy of our government, and how when we meddled in the elections back in 2014, when President Zelensky was running, we meddled in there so Obama can put him in there. And so once President Zelensky was in there, then that's where all that $635 million went to the Biden administration. And so now, because it's starting to fade and the honeymoon stage is over, now we have Putin that's coming in there and exposing all the biolabs that are American-made, that were built. And he's also he's exposing the hypocrisy of our country and stating how, we really, truly put America last when it comes to push, comes to shove. And so that's why I commend Putin for showing the hypocrisy and waking people up. What do you think about that, cool guy?
To be honest with you, I don't approve of anything that Biden is doing at all because I think he needs another pacifier or something. And stop having all these like Pelosi and I'm gonna say her real name, Kamala Harris. Stop telling him what to do and stop reading prompts and just do what the man's supposed to do and protect our country and help other countries that need help that actually helps us. If Russia wants to nuke, I think we should do something before they try to nuke. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, what's your insight on that, Sauce? Basically saying that, if Russia wants to do this or Ukraine wants to do this, let them have it. I think we should.
Threatening the whole world.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think as a country, Sauce, and I could basically understand, our caller here from Florida, we as a nation have to worry about our nation first. If it gets a little extreme in Russia and Ukraine, then yes, we should assist. You know what I mean, Sauce?
Absolutely. And the bigger question that we should ask ourselves is, well, not only to this whole thing, but, I don't know about you, cool guy, but, in the last week or in the last couple of months, the United States, let alone not adding other countries, they've given Ukraine over $2.5 trillion. And Michael and I just brushed over that of our hard taxpayer earned money. And I actually did the math, by the way. So there's 44 million people in Ukraine. Okay. Now you divided by $2.5 trillion, and each of the citizens would get at least $48 million each. And you also now have to add the $800 million and then also add the other 2.9 trillion that the EU or the UN gave. So the bigger question is, where is all this money going and who is it going to? And that's the question I'm asking. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. And I think Putin's doing a fantastic job. And now you see, I don't know if you heard this, but other countries. Oh, sorry about that.
People in the United States that is doing without. They're going homeless, and you can't even help the people in the United States, but you're sending money over there. I can understand you sending weapons, but money.
Yeah.
Doesn't that? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, I agree. There money is being thrown at all different angles and directions here. Sauce, he's basically saying here, the caller from Florida saying that, let's stop throwing away wasteful money. I mean, you see what the clown of the White House, Joe Biden, did in the Middle East last year, right? Not thousands, excuse me. Let me correct myself. Thank you, producer Eric. Yeah. Millions and millions of taxpayers' money to military items that were not even a year old, that was bought under the Trump administration, sent over to literally a Christmas gift to the freaking Taliban.
And not only that, but the sad part is that one of my closest friends that I went through, I was stationed with, he also died. Don't forget that he has blood on his hands just from Afghanistan.
We do realize that, Sash. You come from a military background. You were just in the military not too long ago. You basically gave your testimony over the show, several times on this podcast. And my heart goes out to you, and I thank you very much for serving our great country. But I mean, this is amen to that. Sas, I want to ask the caller the differences here, and I'm sure you have comments because we had discussed that, with the differences with the state of Florida versus the rest of the country with this economy, right?
Oh, absolutely.
This caller calling in from Florida, he has a mega governor such as Ron DeSantis. Did you want to ask the caller here on the difference with his economy in the state of Florida versus the rest of the country?
Oh, absolutely. So, cool guy. Is that your name, by the way? I keep on calling you cool guy. Or should I call you the freedom guy? Because you live in a freedom state.
My name's Rooster.
Rooster. I am so sorry about that, Rooster. Okay, what is the big difference between Florida and Wisconsin? Like, can you explain to us the economic? I know Walt Disney just got separated from getting any tax exempt. I know they're being self-governed now. What is the big difference? Like, what's the economic difference?
To be honest with you, the economic difference down here now is in the last year, the rent prices went from like maybe $1,000 to $1,500 to $4,500 a month. I mean, in the last year, the prices of rent skyrocketed to 50% in Florida. I mean, everybody from every other state is moving down here, but everybody that lives here is moving out because the prices are going up. It doesn't make sense to me. Why are you bringing people in and moving people out that's been here all their lives, and you can't even, regulate your rent? My rent went from $1,000 to $1,350.
Huh.
I mean,
Wow.
Is that your question? The economy down here, the jobs is good, but the rent's high.
Wow. I'm just blown away by that and stating that. Well, I understand why people are moving out. For instance, I had to say goodbye to 3 different families, and I feel bad because they're going to your state because they're leaving Wisconsin, and the difference between ours. So, for instance, our rent in Madison, it had over 103% increase. So now, if you want to get a 1-bedroom apartment, I was looking at rents. I was looking at $4,200 a month, 1 bedroom, and 1 bedroom. That's it in Madison. $4,200 a month. Okay, sorry about that.
You're fine, Soslin. You got to stop saying sorry. You should know me by now, sir. This is an unfiltered podcast, but you're good.
Well, hey, I was stating sorry for Gator because I don't know if he is a man of God. I don't know if he's a person about faith, but I don't know. I don't want to offend Gator. That's why I said sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. But we're gonna Mr. Rooster. Right. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Mr. Rooster, we got about a minute left with you. What is your comment on the woke Disney World there? I know that's been drawing a lot of attention in your state of Florida.
My personal opinion is they shouldn't have never been self-regulated in the first place, and they should have been taxed to begin with. I mean, who don't pay taxes besides rich people? And they need to start paying taxes themselves. You understand what I mean?
Right. So
That's what's wrong with the economy today. Rich people don't pay taxes. All the poor, middle class always do.
That's true to that. Amen to that. So you're basically saying here, and Sas can comment if you like, with Disney World's self-governing ways, you believe that Ron DeSantis did have a reasonable doubt to end that? Do you think that was fair for Ron DeSantis to end Walt Disney's self-governing system?
Well, not only for that reason, but there's another reason that the media will not share that came out of Florida. They were also busted for being one of the sexual trafficking in Florida.
Oh, wow.
Nobody covered that on media, but that was busted down here in Florida. They were sex trafficking. That's why he's doing it. People don't realize that around the world, but that's why he busted it.
Yeah.
They were sex trafficking in Disney World.
That's crazy. What's your insight on that there, Sauce?
Oh, I knew that was happening in Disney.
Spread this on media.
Go ahead, Sauce.
But I live here. I know what it's like.
So I think, this whole – first of all, why was – the bigger question I have is why was Disney not taxed in the first place? You know how much they grossed a year annually? And where did all that money come from? Where did all the money go besides wokeness? And, and that's the whole thing is I think the moment that you go and start being like the moment that you start like saying, hey, welcome dreamers or welcome people, you might as well just pack up your bags and go because you have ruined. And look at Netflix, for instance. They went all woke, and you know how much money they lost on Thursday? They lost over 35% of their equity, and they lost over 35% of their shares. That's what happens when you get a woke.
Absolutely. I want to ask the caller that before we depart here with him. What do you guys think there? Rooster, what do you think of Netflix? I want to close it out with you here on the show. What do you think with Netflix right now? I mean, do you think that they have some kind of special privilege? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I never really watched Netflix because I thought they were overrated and overpriced, for one. And for two, I would really actually love it if Elon Musk just bought them out like he does Twitter.
Yeah, we all do. But yeah, I totally agree with you.
Freedom of speech.
Oh, freedom of speech. Yeah. I want to thank you for calling into today's show. Me and Sash do greatly appreciate it. And please, follow the show and I hope you have a great day.
Well, hey, whenever I start my podcast back up, do the same.
All right, you do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, he seemed a little nervous, but hey, it's okay. He's on a live telecast show. You know what I mean?
Well, it happens. Well, even happens to the best of us. Where I remember when I first started doing my podcast, I remember getting all like nervous and being called in. I'm like, I don't know what to say, but now it just comes. I think it comes with practice. So as practice makes perfect,
Right, and I mean, he made a lot of good points there.
He did.
Florida, with the economy there, Ron DeSantis, like literally, just blasting Disney for their self-governing ways, and I seen that just out on Breitbart earlier this week, kudos to Santis, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And here's the whole thing. Okay. Why would they keep on focusing more on like the whole gender push? Why the push? For instance, because if I were to go to Disney, which I would never go, but if Mike has said, hey, I want to go to Disney World, I'm like, okay, I guess we'll go. And I hear, hey, welcome, dreamers. They're going to say, well, what is this? I didn't come to this kind of a thing. Am I coming from Mexico or what? Because that's what the Dreamers bill is. No offense to the Mexicans, but like I meant illegal aliens, I should say. That's better terminology. Because the whole thing is that you ruin that. You're brainwashing the kids pretty much. And that's what Disney World is doing. They're brainwashing their kids into thinking and telling their parents, oh, it's okay if you want to identify yourself as a boy if you're a girl, or it's okay that if you identify yourself as a fuzzy, then it's okay because, your Disney characters do the same. Yeah. And how many people watch Disney, Disney Channel? And I've noticed this in Disney Channel even. Well, I kind of, pinpoint and focus on topics. They're adding these commercials stating, these Disney shows where this young gal, like, she's like, well, I feel like I'm a boy. And she opens up to her parents. So those kind of shows then linger on a kid because that kid's going to remember, like, long term. And they're going to say, well, that little kid came out to his parents. And how come then I'll come out to my parents? And then what you do is you create a generation that is lost and dangerous.
Yeah, I completely agree. I can completely agree. Guys, don't touch the dial. We're going to take a quick little break. And we'll be right back after these words. More on the Biden inflation and Biden's failed economy right after these words.
When we see you enter through our doors, we don't see who you're against or for. Whether tomorrow will be light or dark, all we see in you is a spark. We see your spark in each nod, each smile. We see sparks in every aisle. We see you find a hidden gem and buying diapers at 3 a.m. We see your kindness and humanity, the strength of each community. We've seen more sparks than we can say. About 20 million just yesterday. The more we look, the more we find the sparks that make America shine.
Some major flip-flopping people should not be walking around with masks. Masks work fully vaccinated, you are protected, and you do not need to wear a mask. If you are vaccinated, you should still wear a mask.
You really better be very careful before you bring the children back.
The default position should be to try as best as possible to keep the children in school. Right now, at this moment, there is no need to change anything that you're doing on a day-by-day basis. I would like to see a dramatic diminution of the personal interaction that we see. So let me clarify that, because there was a little bit of a misunderstanding.
All right, guys, back to the show. Welcome for those who's just tuning in to our show here live on Facebook, Twitch, and believe it or not, Sauce, we've been welcomed back, I guess, with opening arms here on YouTube. I guess the false narratives are not working on their platform, and they're like, oh, you can come back.
I guess they're that desperate, huh? They're like my ex-girlfriend.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, that's a dandy.
So, let's get more into this Biden inflation, because, a lot of people are not talking about it. It's become one of those tucked under the rug stories. And a lot of people are talking about Russia, Ukraine, and, just the mask issue. It seems to be like a lot of people talking about the mask. Like, isn't that gone? I mean,
I thought that was gone. Well, did you hear about the one at 2:00, he stated, hey, let's get away with the masks. And then about an hour later, he's like, well, I wasn't told what to do at 2:00. And so, we need masks all of a sudden. When your president says I was not told, or I didn't follow the instructions to the media, there is a major problem.
Yeah. There's a major problem. Even the media now, where they're questioning Joe with everything about inflation, everything. Check this out.
Of course, there are lawmakers on both sides of the aisle that are pushing back on the White House's Putin price hike excuse as we watch 40-year high inflation grip America. Now, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin says we cannot spend our way to a balanced, healthy economy and continue adding to our $30 trillion national debt. Getting inflation under control will require more aggressive action. Joining us now for reaction, National Taxpayers Union EVP, Brandon Arnold. Brandon, always great to see you. Let's start with the inflation numbers overall. In March, 8.5% year over year. That's when you include, and I include, food and energy, because this has been so persistent. Those are the two things that American consumers feel the most. Let's look at some of the numbers here. Food inflation, lettuce, 12%, salad dressing, almost 14%, fresh vegetables, almost 6%, meats, almost 14%, uncooked beef and steak, 14%. This is staggering. We're not even talking about eating out. We're talking about just going to the grocery store. Your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely backbreaking for average families right now. And the notion that they're just going to blame corporations and blame Vladimir Putin. Listen, we can beat up on Vladimir Putin all day, and certainly he's made this problem worse. But this problem...
Yeah, look at those inflation. Look at the numbers, Sauce. Food, oh my God. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, yeah. Oh, hey, let's worry about making sure that families are better off. No, families are not better off. Oh, no, I should pardon. Make sure the inflation for Ukraine is better off than what's happening in America.
Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic. Oh.
Yeah, I think the listeners, they understand it. I mean, they understand where this country's going. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the difference makers. I mean, between these both two administrations, Biden and then Trump. Trump had this country on freaking steroids of growth. Biden literally, I mean, you look at it. Let's look at this for an example, Sauce. You go to a gym, right?
Yep.
And please, I'm just using this for example, guys. So don't get, tiffy and sensitive and, oh my God, Michael's saying some bad things on his show. Go into a gym. All right. You look at the two difference makers, Trump and Biden. When you look at Trump, you look at a muscle bound, healthy dude, full of muscles, right? Backbone, everything. You look at Biden and it's this little puny, skinny, nerdy kid. That's the differences, Sauce.
Well, there's a major difference. That tiny nerdy kid is lifted up. The only way he can stand is by other tiny nerdy kids that have to hold him up in order so he doesn't fall over. Just trying to get over the welcome rug or the welcome mat.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean, and that's the whole thing is that a lot of people, and another reason why so many people have another reason why stocks are hitting hard like this past week is because the Feds, of course, it seems like every time the Feds came out and spoke, and so that one arrow, like where I had that spike up was without the Feds coming out and speaking that they're going to raise the interest rate. And every time the Feds came out this week, I was doing so good on my money and stuff. I was doing so good on my my stocks until who came out, and the Feds came out and stated, "Hey, we're going to raise the interest rate to combat the inflation rates." Well, the market didn't like it at all, and if the market didn't like it, we lost money. And what do you think? Do you think the markets are going to? Do you think that the stocks are going to man, we love this interest rate spiking way up? No, But mark my words, okay, with all this interest rate being hiked way up, I mean, you can't mitigate. You're trying to mitigate a bleeding, but the bleeding is gushing blood. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to put a tiny Band-Aid over a wound that's clearly about 5 miles wide.
Oh, sure.
It's going to have long-lasting damage. And see, that's, I've noticed this. I've noticed that under Obama's administration and under Joe Biden's administration, they do such a good damn job of making damage that lasts longer than their presidency. It's like long-term damage effect. While President Trump, he made small amount of damage, but ended up being it benefited the people.
Well, Sauce, I mean, it hasn't. I mean, Biden and Obama had a lot of influence towards that, but it's not just Biden and Obama. It's the Democratic Party. They've been like
and
this
the rhinos
for years. I mean, you clearly coming from an immigrant from Russia, right? So with all due respect, you're just getting into the glimpse of American politics. This has been like this for years, Sauce.
It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah. Guys, I don't know if you realize, if you had listened to previous shows, but this is a man originally from the country of Russia, Sosslin here on the show, right? And I mean, literally, he comes from a country of corruption, similar to American politics, right? You come from a country of just destruction at extreme limits, right?
Absolutely. And you want to talk about extreme limits. You're talking about, you want to say, oh, people get censored and stuff. You want to talk about, you want to talk about being censored. Well, if Facebook has to censor you just because you're from Russia, that is a major problem, and they see, and that's the whole thing is I told the class this. I said, if somebody asked me, they're like, is America already in communist? Are we already a communist country? I'm like, you know what? We are actually a communist country. Because you have these big media tech giants, not being, that are controlled by, they control the government and what they can be stated and what can be said and what cannot be said on their platforms. And the moment that you go against the guidelines and the moment that you don't comply is the moment that you get booted. But, and that's the definition of communism. But I definitely can tell you, if this keeps it up, we're going to get in a world of hurt where they're going to start arresting people that speak out against the government. For instance, the January 6th, you have a whole bunch of dozens of people, innocent people that were protesting peacefully, and they're still in jail, getting treated horrible. And all they did was just, started, and they did like what's the Constitution allowed us to, which is convene peacefully, and that's what we did. And see, and that's, to me, it sickens me. And now you have, And, the moment that you talk about economics and the moment that you talk about the stock markets, they're like, oh, it's for the rich people. It's for, only the rich people are good in the economy. Well, no, you can be the reason why the more and more rich people are doing this because they have inside information. They do insider trading, just like what the NFL does. And that's just wrong, and it's all and see, that's the problem that I'm having. And no wonder why my stocks are plummeting, because there's a whole bunch of inside trading going on and I'm not liking it. Neither are the other millions of people that have money in the market, because who knows, one day we're going to have it, the next we're not. And be aware of this though. The moment that the government, the IRS, doing an audit and stuff, start doing audits on people, the moment that they say, oh, you know what, we don't like the money where he put in. For instance, I gave $5 to the truckers convoy in Canada. So I gave $5 to them. And now they're like, well, that's why I'm getting audited. So at what point, the moment that they start doing that, not just to me, but to a whole bunch of other Americans, you let the Pandora's box go, and it's like the genie in a whatever it's called, in a bottle or something like that. Once you let the genie out of the bottle, you won't let it go back in.
Yeah. Wait. You're telling me, if I heard this correctly, they're auditing you for donating $5 to the Canadian Truckers Convoy Association?
Yep.
Oh, my God. That's pathetic, Sauce, if you ask me. $5? I can understand if it was like $5,000 or $50,000.
No, it's $5
Oh, my God. Well, a lot of people are getting upset with policies rolled out by this basement administration. Check out yesterday's show I had speaking to the author of Terror Strikes, Joseph Leonard, that we had the utmost privilege and honor having him on our show. Phenomenal author, doing very, very well on the bookshelves all over America. Check this little sound clip here. I'll plug into the show. I call her Peppermint Patty, right?
Yeah,
Jen
exactly.
Jen Psaki breaking down over the laws that these two, I call them mega governors, both in the state of Florida and now the state of Alabama, literally on board with Ron DeSantis and Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, literally tag teaming together to protect the children and the parents, the rights of the parents, right, to make these decisions, not the school boards. It has nothing to do with the teachers. It has to do with the parents. Jen Psaki breaking down the other day on all these different podcasts. She was on Pod Save America in the last 2 weeks. A lot of people are saying, could it be conflict of interest because she has maybe a network deal coming up on ABC?
MSNBC.
Yeah. Did you see that, Joseph?
Yes, she does have a deal.
Yeah, just a small little sound clip, guys. If you want to listen to that full podcast, I strongly invite you to listen to that, because Joseph Leonard, the author of Terror Strikes, not only goes into great detail on the show, but you could check out his book nationwide here in the country, as well as Amazon. It's being sold at Target, Walmart, anywhere you see a book. Literally, it's being sold all over the place. I'm told on Amazon Kindle, and if you have the free version of Amazon Kindle, you can get it on the unlimited membership for absolutely free. Highly suggest it. It's a really good book. I bought the book myself, and I'm actually into chapter 3, and I can tell you right now, Sauce, wow.
And what book is that?
It's called Terror Strikes.
Okay.
And it's through the author that I had on my show yesterday, Joseph M. Leonard. Make sure if you do Google search him, Joseph M. Leonard, because I'm told that there are several other books with Joseph Leonard. He had to put the M in the middle of his name to separate from the other authors. But phenomenal book. You can also check him out at producer Eric putting the correction notes in there. It's terrorstrikes.info. So highly suggest you check out his content and material there, Sauce.
All right, I'm looking at it right now. Info. Okay. I'll look on it. Oh, yeah, I see it. It's Terror Strikes Near You. Cities near you. It's in Annabelle, actually. It's in Madison, of course. How about that?
Yeah,
So-
right around the corner from you. Yeah, you guys are neighbors, basically.
or who knows? That might be taken down. I don't know. Well, so I don't know. Sorry about that. I had to clear my throat.
Oh,
so
you're fine.
So one, another thing that I'm starting to bother me is, how, you're at the pump and, and how now, have you noticed, okay, what's it like in your state? Because in my state, you can't pump anymore. You can't like pump and then pay in, and that you just have to you have to prepay, or you have to go put your credit card in first before you do anything. Is that what it's like and where you are from, Michael?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I live in Metro Atlanta, of course, you know that. And, it's like that here in the inner city of Atlanta, which I can tell you right now, Atlanta is literally they're on steroids right now with growth, buildings. The inflation, the infrastructure crisis is really not affecting Atlanta, Sauce. They're
That's
literally
surprising.
building. Yeah, they're building like it's on steroids, buildings going up. But, you go to wonder, with you mentioning the gas and everything, I'm kind of going off topic here a little bit. I do apologize. But, you go to wonder, we talk about infrastructure, right? You go to wonder, even though we have an infrastructure crisis in this country, right? These cities that it seems to not affect, right? Like Atlanta, I'm told, even Chicago, the inner cities of Tampa and Miami. You go to question, if it's not affecting that, where are they getting the money to build these buildings,
Well, another thing that you also have to look at is what the infrastructure that President Trump signed in, and what the materials, and that, once he reinstated, or he pushed laws to rebuild America, I think that's what's piggybacking off of, So it's all President Trump. Now you look at the infrastructure against Biden and his bill. Thank God it's still in the Senate. It bounced back in the Senate. Now his bill is it's going to halt all those buildings, because you have to, in order for you to do anything, it has to be environmental approved. It has to be all this. So they're going to expand the environmental agency board by 450%, according to the bill. And so, and now that, so for instance, if I was an oil company and I wanted to go drilling, all right, I would have to go to my local county board, and I would have to say, hey, I'm considering about drilling oil in this county. Well, then the county board has to bring it to the EPA, which is Environmental Protection Agency, and they either say yes or no. But if you're saying, hey, I want to build a solar farm, or for instance, if I was a government, I'd be like, hey, you know what? I want to take that land. So this infrastructure bill is taking land from hard-working Americans. It's taking land away from them to build your idiotic solar farm fields and your windmill farms. That's what it's doing. And it's not going towards rebuilding the roads. It's not going to rebuilding the buildings that are decrepit already. It's building solar farms and power windmills, which actually kill more birds than your planes do, and it kills more birds than them running into the window. So they're actually hurting the environment.
That's Biden's America today. He thinks that a freaking windmill is going to power a city filled with 20 to 50,000 people. You know what I mean?
But the fact that, and not only that, but for instance, with your solar farm fields, you just can't. We can't sustain on that. It has to be your solar farm fields. They still have to run the nuclear. They still have to run the coal plants that powers the solar farm fields. What happens if the sun doesn't go out? What happens if it's a cloudy day? If you're in Wisconsin, or if you're in the northern states and you don't get the sun like you do if you're down south, if you're in more Texas area, what happens if you don't get that though? And then you have to use more energy to get what you have to use more energy, hypothetically, in order to do what, to make it solar farm acceptable. And all these batteries, for instance, the batteries that it holds on, what those are made up of? Lithium. And where you get lithium from?
Lithium battery. Yeah, a lithium battery. Let me add that. Lithium battery, they do promote a lot of energy. They do. But like anything else, they do have an expiration date,
And where do you put all that lithium battery garbage, that lithium battery waste? Where do you put it all? We'll never know.
Yeah, it goes to landfills. That's where it goes to. And it creates
isn't that
more.
bad?
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that bad for the environment though? Oh, landfills are bad for the environment, and so is lithium batteries. Let's go lithium. And where do we put it? Oh, that's not our responsibility. Well, and think of what, and not only that, but think of the lithium. Like, think of how you extract lithium. Okay, you literally have to build a man-made canyon to extract lithium battery. So you're taking literally land away, and you're destroying the earth by polluting it and by like getting all the ecosystems out of bounds. So
Pretty much.
This whole infrastructure bill is not put America first. It's not. It's this whole one world order agenda to make sure that the government has more oversight, and you don't, and you can't. You can't drill your own oil, and that your industry. So we're more and more reliant on government producing. They're going to say, "Oh, you know what? We'll give you this certain amount of money so you can pay for gas. We're going to give you this certain amount of money so you can pay for a house payment." And that's what's leading down to, and that's what this Green New Deal is. And what's even more psychotic about it is, you're going to like this, by the way. I read the whole bill. So it was 14 pages long, but of course they've added it more. So like they state, they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to give the end total. You know how much the end total is? $99 trillion.
Yeah. Well, speaking of deals here, did you see an article that was just literally put out today? Who the hell is this, Eric? Okay. It was put out by BrownfieldAGnews.com with the USDA. Literally, Sauce, dedicating nearly $800 million. Yes, folks, $800 million to climate infrastructure projects. Oh, my God. The money pouring out. Get this, Sauce. The USDA is awarding nearly $800 million in projects to support climate-smart infrastructure. And hold on, I'm almost done here. I'll tell you this, and you can comment if you want to comment here. That Secretary Vilsack made the announcement as part of Earth Day, saying the grants are part of the many ways the agency is addressing climate changing, bringing safe water and renewable energy to people in rural areas. Your area, kind of like around your area that we just got done talking about, the windmills, right?
Yeah. And you know what I saw in my area as well? As you get outside of Madison, I saw no solar farm fields. So it's already happening. We have signs going out, no solar farm fields. No, and there's major protests happening in Wisconsin, because what's happening is that the federal government behind Bill Gates, he is going out and buying farmland, and he's going out buying land that is meant to grow crops and buying them out so that they can, and they're buying out family farms. They're buying out family farms that have been in families for generations, and they're buying them out to a point. And it's so heartbreaking to see.
You see what they're doing. Yeah, you see what they're doing in South Dakota, right?
Yeah, they're doing that. Yeah, absolutely, with solar farm fields and the windmills. They're going out and saying,
they actually have cool and dry conditions that are limiting planting in central South Dakota.
It's called those chemtrails.
That's what a lot of people are calling it. Yeah.
And, and actually, speaking of chemtrails, what the Green New Deal states? So it re-implements the chemtrails usage, and how there's going to be more flyovers, and and the purpose of that is to make sure, and a lot of people don't really read into it, but I read into it, and now the pages went from 14 to about 16,000 pages long. And so the chemtrails, when chemtrails were started, it was started by Adolf Hitler to hinder the growth of the Jewish farmers, and it was meant to hinder the growth of even the Germans. So it was meant for people to rely on, saying, "Hey, we can't grow a crop." So it meant for Germany to rely on Austria. It meant for Germans to rely on Russia even for their crops.
Yeah.
So what happened is that then Britain took their idea of chemtrails and stated, well, because we're not getting enough rain, we're going to put chemtrails in the air, and therefore can do some chemical imbalance and can produce rain.
Yeah.
Well, now that went away, because back in the day, the government said, okay, you can't do that. That is strictly illegal. Well, now we have a government that says, well, we got to put America last. So, of course, they're going to hinder the farmers, and they're going to hinder the crop growing. So they're going to put chemtrails, and they're going to, and see, this is a way to force people move into cities. This is forcing people to move out of rural areas. And for instance, I keep on going back to this. You demographically change the voting records. You demographically go change the voting areas. If you can get people all in one city, you then therefore have a blue city,
Well,
and that's what we
yeah,
have.
well, you know, I mean, just look at the crop prices, for instance, right? And I'll get into this just briefly. Now, these are future prices, folks, where they actually predicted these prices to have either a negative or a positive impact. Mostly, these future prices do show a negative impact, and I'll go into just briefly here that corn, okay, next month is going to have a change of minus 6.2%, right? Corn again in the month of July will have the same price margin. Now, jumping up to September, you're going to see a decline of almost 10%. Soybean, everybody loves soybean. You use it a lot in your foods, right? In May of next month, you're going to see a decline of 32.2%. I'm not making these prices up, folks. These are future, almost accurate predictions of under this corrupted Biden administration. Wheat, another great crop that we use in just about every ingredient in foods that we make love today. Where we at? Wheat, yeah. Wheat, May of next month is going to have a decline of minus 2.4%. And then get this, in September, a few 3-4 months later, is going to have a decline of almost 6.5%. Now, the last two that I'll be brief about, because it's a whole thing of all these different types of crops. Cotton is actually showing a positive. The only positive, the entire chart, is up by almost 1% of next month. Then it goes down almost 1% in July. In October, it goes down almost 2%. And then last but not least, rough rice. Now, what is rough rice? Rough rice is a little bit, obviously, the name says it all. It's a little more rougher than actual So,
Hello?
yeah, Sas, we're here. We had a power outage actually in the studio. Are you still there?
Yeah, are you serious?
Yeah. Sorry about that, folks. Those who just tuning in, yeah, we had a power outage here in the studio. Some storms affecting the area, but yeah, we're still here. I just kind of went over the crop prices. Huge amount of crop prices that's going to be affecting under this inflation. Terrible,
And think about that fertilizer too. Where you get your fertilizer and how that's all produced. Think of all that, huh? I can't think about that. I feel bad for those farmers that have to get those fertilizers.
Oh, without a doubt. A huge amount. It's going to affect rice. It's going to affect soybean. It's going to affect wheat, cotton. It's terrible. This would never be like this under President Trump. Never.
No, you're absolutely right.
Never. Terrible stuff happening. But, I want to close it out here soon because we're running short on time. Sorry about that little power outage. It kind of came out of nowhere. Just a bolt of lightning literally hit on the outskirts of the studio here, and it knocked out the whole damn service. But
you know. You there, Sauce?
Yeah. No, I thought. Okay, so are we closing it or final thoughts?
Yeah, we're gonna close it out. Yeah, because we're running short on time, and I just want to kind of go into your plugins if you want to plug in anything to the audience, the listeners out there.
Oh, absolutely. So as we conclude, I am on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And if you look up SOSLANTEMANSON, you will find a podcast called Remember God Loves You, and I'll meet you at the finish line. You are welcome to give me a follow or follow the podcast, listen, or be encouraged. It's meant to encourage you, and it's meant to make you have an uplifted day, and it's meant to put a smile on your face. And that is my take on it. My final thoughts.
And we're always here, folks, to put a smile on your face in these unprecedented, depressing times. They're really depressing, Sauce. I mean, I love America.
Yeah,
I'm all about America, but it's depressing that we live in a country that has so much potential for greatness, but then it's being wasted. It's literally being, kind of plunged down the toilet, so to speak,
And it's being wasted in front of our own eyes.
Yeah, our freedoms and liberties are being stripped every single day.
Yep.
Every single day. And if I may add, folks, before we close it out, remember, please follow me on social media platforms all over the place, including Facebook, the Patriot Angle Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, Patriot_Angle_Unfiltered. Also, our website, www.patriotanglepodcast.com. as well as our merchandise. We have a lot of different ways you can follow our great content. Our merchandise, guys, patriotunfiltered.com. And also, too, guys, be sure to check out the book. Yes, our book is still available, Can America Survive After Biden, which is sold exclusively on Amazon Kindle. And if you have the Amazon Kindle Unlimited, you get it for absolutely free. How about those knockers, huh, folks? So, yeah, be sure to check out that great set of content. And also, too, guys, if you're always interested in learning more about the show, you're just getting catched up to the show right now, or caught up to the show, so to speak, right? Those are my words tonight. Follow me on just about every platform, Spotify, Google, Apple, as well as Amazon Music and Audible. And as well, too, guys, if you got the Audible app, you get it for free, right? So, Sauce, thanks for tuning in to tonight on the studio, and be sure to check Sauce out on his podcast. Tremendous content, very, very spiritual speaking on your podcast, if I may add, Sauce.
Thank you. Hey, and we will be back with you guys. We'll be back. Don't forget about us. We'll both be back on some kind of a topic. It's going to be very interesting. This is Unfiltered.
Very, very interesting. Actually, Sauce, if I may, before I close it out, I'd love to get an on-air invitation from you to see if you're committed to it. Next Wednesday, we're going to have, guys, you're going to want to check this out. Just slipped my mind. Next Wednesday, we will be having a special guest on the show. Yeah. He happens to be residing in central Canada. He is an advocate for diversity and inclusion. Very, very interesting topic. Never had it on my show. What's your thoughts on that, Sauce? Would you love to join the conversation?
Oh, absolutely. Do I have questions for him? Yeah, I'd love to join that.
Yeah, and sadly, he has. We will be announcing he does suffer from a rare health condition. So my condolences out to him, fighting the big fight. But he is a big advocate for diversity and inclusion. You can check out his podcast, which I will pre-plug into the show before we depart. Let's have that conversation. Check him out, guys. I checked out a couple of his episodes. Very, very well-known podcaster in central Canada. So, yes, we will be having him on the show next Wednesday. So definitely want to check that out. Sauce, it's been an honor. It's been a privilege. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Hopefully that's, yep, absolutely. And I'll be in touch with you.
Yes, and we will too. Guys, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one. So,
hello.
Yeah, Sas, well, we're here. We had a power outage actually in the studio. Are you still there?
Yeah, are you serious?
Yeah. Sorry about that, folks. Those who just tuning in, yeah, we had a power outage here in the studio. Some storms affecting the area, but yeah, we're still here. I just kind of went over the crop prices. Huge amount of crop prices that's going to be affecting under this inflation. Terrible,
And think about that fertilizer too. Where you get your fertilizer and how that's all produced. Think of all that, huh? I can't think about that. I feel bad for those farmers that have to get those fertilizers.
Oh, without a doubt. A huge amount. It's going to affect rice. It's going to affect soybean. It's going to affect wheat, cotton. It's terrible. This would never be like this under President Trump. Never.
No, you're absolutely right.
Never. Terrible stuff happening. But, I want to close it out here soon because we're running short on time. Sorry about that little power outage. It kind of came out of nowhere. Just a bolt of lightning literally hit on the outskirts of the studio here, and it knocked out the whole damn service. But, you there, Sus?
Yeah. No, I thought, okay. So are we closing it or final thoughts?
Yeah, we're going to close it out. Yeah, because we're running short on time. And basically, I just want to kind of go into, your plugins. If you want to plug in anything to the audience, the listeners out there.
Oh, absolutely. So as we conclude, I am on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And if you look up SOSLANTEMANSON, you will find a podcast called Remember God Loves You, and I'll meet you at the finish line. You are welcome to give me a follow or follow the podcast, listen, or be encouraged. It's meant to encourage you, and it's meant to make you have an uplifted day, and it's meant to put a smile on your face. And that is my take on it. My final thoughts.
And we're always here, folks, to put a smile on your face in these unprecedented, depressing times. They're really depressing, Sauce. I mean, I love America.
Yeah,
I'm all about America, but it's depressing that we live in a country that has so much potential for greatness, but then it's being wasted. It's literally being, kind of plunged down the toilet, so to speak, And
it's being wasted in front of our own eyes.
Yeah, our freedoms and liberties are being stripped every single day.
Yep.
Every single day. And if I may add, folks, before we close it out, remember, please follow me on social media platforms all over the place, including Facebook, the Patriot Angle Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, Patriot_Angle_Unfiltered. Also, our website, www.patriotanglepodcast.com. as well as our merchandise. We have a lot of different ways you can follow our great content. Our merchandise, guys, patriotunfiltered.com. And also, too, guys, be sure to check out the book. Yes, our book is still available, Can America Survive After Biden, which is sold exclusively on Amazon Kindle. And if you have the Amazon Kindle Unlimited, you get it for absolutely free. How about those knockers, huh, folks? So, yeah, be sure to check out that great set of content. And also, too, guys, if you're always interested in learning more about the show, you're just getting catched up to the show right now, or caught up to the show, so to speak, right? Those are my words tonight. Follow me on just about every platform, Spotify, Google, Apple, as well as Amazon Music and Audible. And as well, too, guys, if you got the Audible app, you get it for free, right? So, Sauce, thanks for tuning in to tonight on the studio, and be sure to check Sauce out on his podcast. Tremendous content. Very, very spiritual speaking on your podcast, if I may add, Sauce.
Thank you. Hey, and we will be back with you guys. We'll be back. Don't forget about us. We'll both be back on some kind of a topic. It's going to be very interesting. This is Unfiltered.
Very, very interesting. Actually, Sauce, if I may, before I close it out, I'd love to get an on-air invitation from you to see if you're committed to it. Next Wednesday, we're going to have, guys, you're going to want to check this out. Just slipped my mind. Next Wednesday, we will be having a special guest on the show. Yeah. He happens to be residing in central Canada. He is an advocate for diversity and inclusion. Very, very interesting topic. Never had it on my show. What's your thoughts on that, Sauce? Would you love to join the conversation?
Oh, absolutely. Do I have questions for him? Yeah, I'd love to join that.
Yeah, and sadly, he has. We will be announcing he does suffer from a rare health condition. So my condolences out to him fighting the big fight. But he is a big advocate for diversity and inclusion. You can check out his podcast, which I will pre-plug into the show before we depart. Let's have that conversation. Check him out, guys. I checked out a couple of his episodes. Very, very well-known podcaster in central Canada. So, yes, we will be having him on the show next Wednesday. So definitely want to check that out. Sauce, it's been an honor. It's been a privilege. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Hopefully that's, yep, absolutely. And I'll be in touch with you.
Yes, and we will too. Guys, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.
You just heard an episode of the Patriot Angle podcast. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon Music, and Audible. Also streaming live on Twitch. Remember to follow and like us, guys, for unfiltered, uncensored, raw content. Also, please head over to www.patriotanglepodcast.com for all your exclusive Patriot Angle podcast content and material, as well as the merchandise website www.patriotunfiltered.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.